Hey, what's up, family? It's Arian Tyson here again. I'm going to try and shoot this video again that I tried to shoot earlier. It's kind of hard to shoot a Facebook Live when you're driving around the city and you got to deal with a poor connection and so on and so forth. But I'm at home now, so we should be good to go. And as people hop on, I'll greet them. I'll say hello. Make sure you leave a comment in the comment section, and I will take a look at them and respond to them in an orderly fashion. But here's the thing. I talked about earlier how I just feel like enough is enough. And for those that are hopping on, say welcome. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule. I tried to shoot this Facebook Live earlier, but my phone was kind of acting crazy, and when you're driving and shooting a Facebook Live, you got to deal with poor connections and so on and so forth. So I'm going to piggyback off what I talked about earlier. Now, obviously, over the last couple of days, there's been a lot of tension going on because of the murders of Alton Sterling and Philando, make sure I pronounce his name right. But I will tell you this. My issue is, oh, hey Tiffany, how you doing, sweetie? My thing is this. People need to understand that this war that we feel like we're just getting into, we've been in this war for quite some time. And a lot of people just really need to wake up and pay attention. My thing is, how many more lives are going to have to be taken in order for people to recognize that this is a systemic issue? This is a systemic problem. And my whole issue with it is people, they like to live in fairy tale land. And I don't understand it. It's like, I have two eyes just like they have two eyes. Some of them have four, but it doesn't matter. I see what they see. And they can live in fantasy land all they want to. They can sit up and be in denial all they want to. But the fact is, I literally had someone a couple of days ago make a post and have the audacity, before he blocked me. Now, mind you, I didn't block him. He blocked me. But he had the audacity to say, and I'm going to read you the actual quote. Hey, little sis, how are you? I'm going to read you the actual quote. And it's on my Facebook page if you don't think that I'm telling the truth. But this is exactly what he said. He said, quote, "No African Americans alive today are being held back by anything aside from their victim mentality." Here's my thing. You really believe that we're suffering from a victim mentality? Well, let's look at the fact that two fathers, two black men, was gunned down by police in the last 3 days. And the police felt like they was justified in doing that. They committed no wrong acts. They said they did nothing wrong. But yet, they were murdered. And yet, you have people who are police sympathizers trying to justify, well, they would have just, complied. Look here, you can comply all you want to. But depending on how that cop feels, if he's just in a bad mood and you just find yourself in the wrong place at the wrong time, you could lose your life. That's what it is. That's what it is being a black person in this day and age. And it didn't just start in 2016. It's been going on for decades. Especially with the cops. It's been going on for decades. And so we have to realize that While people think that we have the same opportunities, no, we don't. Because we live in a system, an invisible system called white supremacy. And I'm unapologetic when I say that, because white supremacy exists. Now, it doesn't mean that it applies to all white people. It doesn't. But it applies to those who know they practice it. It applies to those who know that they're benefiting from it. And it's amazing how you have other groups that they do for their own. They do for their own. But the problem is, when we did for our own, we were shot, killed, hung, lynched. We were, our towns was burned down, our communities was burned down. And we want the opportunities. And I don't care what anybody says. My father taught me a long time ago. My father told me, as a black male, especially as a dark-skinned black male, you're going to have to work twice as hard for the same opportunities as everybody else. And I didn't understand what he said, what he meant then, but as I've gotten older and now that he's passed away, if I had the chance, I would go back and tell him, you know what, Dad, you were absolutely right. Because that's what has happened. We need to realize that when you hear the term minorities, it don't even mean, it's not pertaining to blacks. Do you know that when they came up with that word minority, that also included women? Women are actually considered a minority in this country. So they use these code words to take the attention off of what really matters. And so even now, you have a lot of stuff that's being pushed on us. And I don't care what you decide to practice. And I'm talking about if you're heterosexual, if you're homosexual, it don't matter. But that's being pushed, that's being forced down our throats, that's being pushed on us. And now it's become the number one minority issue in this country, whether people want to admit it or not. Now, I'm going to preface my comments by saying that Arian Tyson is not a racist, but Arian Tyson is someone who strives to be honest and calls things like he sees it. And when people want to be delusional and they want to stay in their delusion when the facts are presented to them, what up, bro? We have this problem. And there's no way you can justify to me that those two guys deserve to be killed by those cops. You can't justify that to me. And then they got killed in front of their loved ones. So you really felt like it was justifiable for you taking their life. Why is that? And like my father always told me, son, you got a target on your back, whether you believe it or not. You have to work twice as hard. And my thing is, nothing has been handed to me. But yet you have some people like this moron who quote I just mentioned. Hey, LaShawn, what's up, sweetie? You have this moron who made this quote that I'm going to read to you again. He said, no African Americans alive today are being held back by anything aside from their victim mentality. Everyone has the same opportunities in America. Wait, let me change that. Minorities have more due to affirmative action. This is what this moron has said. And see, it's even crazy because they're doing this protest, and my homie LaShawn just said that there were shots fired in Dallas during a protest for what happened to these two gentlemen. So it's like, what do we do? Because marching doesn't work. Protesting only works to a certain extent. And let me just address the elephant in the room. Prayer ain't gonna work. I'm gonna say it again. I don't care who don't like it. What has prayer done? What has it done? We've been praying and praying and praying and praying, but last I checked, the textbook definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over and expect a different result. I'm being honest with you. I don't care what your religious affiliation is. I don't care. The fact is, if it's one thing to have faith, that's important. But your faith is irrelevant if you're not putting any action behind it. It's irrelevant. And so, and then let me go down to what else this moron said. He says, I guess those dissenting views on my comment feel that the two successful men in the accompanying photo are Uncle Tom's. This is from a quote. This is a quote that a guy made on a post I made on July 3rd, which was just a couple of days ago. Because I have a kind of an issue with Independence Day, and I actually talked about it in the speech I gave earlier tonight, and just really hit him with the facts. My thing is this: if you're going to insult me, and I'm just do this public service announcement, if you're going to insult me the right way. For those who don't know, when you call someone an Uncle Tom, you're actually complimenting them. You're not insulting them, even though society will let you believe that that's an insult. Here's what I mean. If you read the original version of Uncle Tom's Cabin by Harriet Beecher Stowe, Uncle Tom was a character who was who was honest and upright. He was not the person who sold out the blacks. That person was Sambo. So if you're going to insult me or disrespect my people, why don't you disrespect them the right way by calling them the correct term? Because you sound like an idiot when you refer to somebody as an Uncle Tom and think you're insulting them. You're actually complimenting them. It's like they need to learn how to pick up a book. But my thing is this. People fear what they don't understand. And we see this more now than ever before. My dad told me that I had a target on my back. Here's what we need to do. Because we can't keep acting like prayer is the answer, and it's not. It is going to take a collective effort to take action. Hey, what's up? What's up, bro? And the reality is, you either gonna need, what's up, Sean? You either gonna need to stand up, or you're gonna have to shut up. Here's why: the church has been praying for hundreds of years, and that's not enough. And I'm not ashamed to say that. It is what it is. As a people, my people have gone from chains to ropes, and now being hunted by bullets. And to me, if you don't say anything, if you don't address it, if you don't acknowledge it, or if you just sweep it up under the rug like it's non-existent, you're pretty much considered a coward and a sellout. You're considered a Sambo. But if you stand up, and what gets me is, if you stand up nowadays, you're considered a threat, you're considered a terrorist, you're considered someone who is labeled an angry black person. And believe me, I've been referred to that a long time. But if you really know me, you know that I like to be positive. I like to see the good out of every situation. But I'm here to tell you, I don't see no good out of this situation. And I'm a positive person. I strive to be a positive person. But there's no justification as to why these two men lost their life. Over fear, over that fear that those police officers, they felt like their lives was threatened. A man was standing outside selling CDs. And another man was in his car. And you gun him down? For what? Because you think it's funny? Because that way you can just add another notch up under your belt? We got to do something. And doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result is insane. We've been praying. I understand prayer is important. We've been praying. But look where it's got us. 1865. This is real talk. 1865. We were supposedly made free, but it's 2016. You're talking 151 years since the ending of the Civil War. What do we have to show for it? If you're not practicing group economics, and if you're not talking or dealing with or addressing the religion known as white supremacy, you ain't saying nothing. You're not part of the solution. You're part of the problem. And the time is up for us to just continue to turn a blind eye and act like this stuff ain't happening. It's going to take action. It's going to take us doing something that we ain't never done in order to get what we know we deserve. We got to come together. We got to put these petty differences aside because we're all different. But we got targets on our backs. And I'm not just talking about black men. I'm talking about black women too. They got targets on their backs. What we gonna do? And I'm open for suggestions, but I feel like we need to practice group economics. We need to get smarter, and we need to take a hint from what certain other cultures doing. They spend money within their own. They do. 95 to 100% of our income is going to different communities. Why? Let's see what happens when you pull that money away. Because one thing I learned about white supremacy, they only fear two things: the loss of life and the loss of finances. You can get their attention by not killing them. Just affect their pockets. So I don't want to take up too much of your time. I just wanted to share that. I need to get that off my chest. I'm still not feeling the best, but I appreciate y'all hopping on. I'm about to get me some dinner and talk to my lady, and I will holler at y'all later. Peace and love.